Good evening, everyone. Adequate notice of this meeting was provided by sending such notice to the Asbury Park Press, the Middletown Patch, the Middletown Township Public School website, and the posting of such notice on the August 3 minor administrative offices, Leeds Elementary, Middle, and Secondary School website in Middletown. Roll call.
Mrs. Kennedy. Here. Mr. Donovan.
Here.
Mr. Dymo. Mr. Heffernan. Mr. Little.
Here.
Mrs. Tobacco. Here. Mrs. Wright. Here. Mr. Capone.
Here.
Mrs. Davies.
Yeah. I need a resolution to go into executive session for personnel and matters of negotiation.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Good evening, everyone, and thank you for all of you that came out tonight. Adequate notice of this meeting was provided by sending such notice to the Asbury Park Press, the Middletown Patch, and the Middletown Township Public School District website, and the posting of such notice at the Augustine Minor Administrative Offices and each elementary, middle, and secondary school website in the district. Roll call.
Mrs. Caminiti? Here. Mr. Donovan?
Here.
Mr. Scheinert? Mr. Heffernan? Mr. Little?
Here.
Mrs. DeBecca? Here. Mrs. Wright?
Here.
Mr. Capone?
Here.
Mrs. Jones?
Here. I'd like us to stand for the pledge of allegiance and a moment of silence for Michael Field-Riviera, a sophomore in high school South who passed away on December 4th. Michael will be missed by all who knew him. The Board of Education and the entire school community extend our deepest condolences to the dear Riviera family. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. Okay, we're going to start out with our students.
The two-day concert was December 9th, and students are the winter choir concert is scheduled for December 16th, and our students will be singing their hearts out. After a bit of hiatus, South will be having a cultural diversity holiday door decorating contest. The winning class will be awarded for this party in June.
And here are the highlights of the past month. Congratulations to science teacher Mr. Sinclair, who was recently announced as a Middletown High School North Teacher of the Year. Jacob Waters' short film, Lights, played in Asbury Park at the Columbus Film Festival and won the New Jersey Film Awards for Best Student Film. Sophia Haber-Brock's short documentary was accepted to the London Rooftop Global Film Festival. On Tuesday, November 30th, we had our 8th grade with the town. Then we started with a presentation and auditorium. Students gave tours of the school, and we had student club representatives in the media center. On Wednesday, December 1st, we held our second superintendent's forum, and also our Pathway Academy night with parents and students. On Thursday, December 2nd, we held our 8th week day during Blocks 3-4, and the drama program put on the student-led production of Into the Woods Junior. On December 7th and 8th, we administered the Civil Diversity exam. 42 seniors took the test in a variety of languages. On December 9th, the Civil Air Patrol came to the school to speak to students to gain interest. Seniors are currently applying to college and completing their application. PSAT scores came back. Guidance counselors are speaking with their students about their scores. The guidance counselors will attend the 2022-2023 scheduling meeting. The directors speak about new courses of study in 3 middle schools and 2 high schools. Students will begin scheduling their classes for next year. The winter concert will be held on Tuesday, December 14th at 7 p.m. in the auditorium. On Thursday, December 16th, we will hold our breakfast fair during Block 3-4. The National Honor Society is hosting the Dress and Out fundraiser. To dress and out, participating teachers must raise $20 from students and their faculty. If $500 is raised collectively amongst all teachers, Dr. Cartier and our administrators will join from the fund on December 23rd. The Key Club and National Honor Society are hosted at Toy Drive until December 17th in Middletown Health Zone. December 23rd, we will hold our Showcase for the Arts and Athletics. That's all for this month. Have happy holidays and a happy new year.
Mr. John was not here, it's supposed to be, choose for outgoing board members. So next we have, number 9, the American Rescue Plan as of state return plan, 6-month review. Where are they? That's the committee report. Yeah.
Well, I'll just say quickly, it's every 6 months, we're required to review the plan and open the plan up for community comment. We reviewed the plan and we are making 2 recommendations. One is to change quarantine protocols, and the other is to add the COVID testing that we are required to do to the plan. It's part of our protocol, so it should be added to the plan. So those 2 are resolutions that are going to be voted on later this evening. So during public comment, we will take comment on the plan itself or those 2 changes that we are presenting.
Legislative committee. Okay. Technology, Mike?
Mr. Surya, David, would you like to say something?
Sure.
Thank you. And the minutes have been posted, John, to the website.
Thank you, Mike.
Let's see.
No. I think that says it all.
Most fails are there, right?
Just leave it on, nobody turn it off.
So this past month, we didn't meet, but I provided the technology video an update on some current projects that we're working on. One of the projects we're working on is the district telephone voicemail upgrade. This upgrade is an upgrade to replace all of our voicemail hardware and software. It's necessitated because the current software and hardware is end of life and patches don't want to be available. There's no cost to district on this upgrade. It's part of our maintenance agreement. So the vendor is providing equipment and software as per the maintenance agreement. The test system was built, tested, all offline, and the plan is over in the right direction, install it, and find your open mailboxes to it while it comes away. We're also currently at the same time, we're migrating and currently moving over our data and voice services. We're moving to a new vendor called Excel. Excel won the E-rate bid last year, so we're providing us with voice and data services. Excel has come out, they installed a new circuit, a fiber line, their equipment. We've tested it, we've begun moving data services over for us early as last week. By this month, that all our data moved over, and then we can cease operation for our past vendor. First of January, we're moving our voice, because the voice is a little more complicated than the building circuit, so we're doing that over the break, and we'll be moving over in January. I updated the board constantly on outage in November. As most of you may have known, there was Comcast had significant outage in November. It was directly our area, north and east coast, were directly affected by it. We realized the outage immediately in the morning when our high school students tried to come online. We immediately transitioned to a secondary circuit, so we'll be back online within seconds. And one of the purposes of bringing up this meeting was, the ability for us to have a redundant circuit to be able to get back online immediately was direct result of the board and the district planning and having things in place for such a night like this. There are a number of districts who lost almost a full day of construction because they had no online to get through. And the last thing I updated them on was a security update. I had a partner meeting with our representatives from security, and I'm not going to fill you in with a bunch of numbers, look it up in the update, but they just kind of give us an overview of our usage. So in 3 months, our students have visited almost 140,000 websites. 29,000 of those were blocked. Security has scanned 1.6 million emails in 3 months. 750 were flagged. And we have a little over 5,000 total parents enrollment involved in our security parent portal. And again, like I said here, just want to remind everybody, the security parent portal allows the parents to have access to what their students do on their Chromebook at home as well as in school. It gives them further access to what the student can access at home. They can actually turn off the internet at home for them. You can create offline schedules if you want to shut down at certain times. and you'll get weekly reports, alerts. And to sign up for the Securely Parent Portal, it's free. It's on our website under technology and security. Questions? Thank you.
Student services.
Sorry, 1 second. I'm getting text that the YouTube is not working. You can't be seen. Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, the library is closing in 30 minutes at 9 p.m. Computers will shut down at 8:45 and all information is automatically deleted when the computer shuts down. Fines will no longer be accepted after 8:45, so please check out any items as soon as possible. Bathrooms will close at 8:55. If you need to call for a ride home, please go to the children's help desk or the office desk immediately. The library will reopen tomorrow morning at 9 a.m.
All right. Yeah.
Are we up?
Yeah.
All right, go ahead, Jeff. You want me to go? Yeah.
So Student Services was able to meet tonight for a board meeting. Since our last board meeting in November, we had a prep session to get ready for the event that we had in collaboration with the administration, MTF ODL, and also New Jersey CIE. That was on December 1st. And so we had a prep session on November 29th to make sure that we were all ready in terms of each other's roles for that evening. And then following that prep session, we were able to have a CPAC meeting, the last meeting of the year, which was very good because we were able to go over continuing issues that we have been discussing for the past couple meetings, as well as raising some additional concerns from parents. We then had the event about inclusion in our district, which again is part of our strategic goals here. That was on December 1st. It was a really great event. I think one of the best things about it was the two parent experiences that were shared, both for a middle school level and also a parent now who has a child in an integrated preschool class. I thought that was really great, and hearing their experiences both were very positive. And then also just sort of reminding us where we are as a district with inclusion, and hopefully where we can end up. And then for tonight's committee meeting, we just had a few things that we were going over. One thing that is now solidified is ESY. The dates for the summer will now be July 5th through August 5th. And Dr. Jean, if I'm correct, preschool and elementary will be at New Monmouth, and middle and high school will be at Bayshore. Okay. The other thing that's really exciting is, and I think this is a little bit on more of an accelerated schedule than originally we were thinking we were going to be able to do. But in February of next year, so for 2022, we will be having an integrated preschool program that will be held at Harmony. That actually will be full day, so that's 8:45 to 1:45. So that will be students, gen ed, and also students with special needs together. There's going to be an open house night on January 27th to talk about that preschool offering. And so that's really great that we're actually able to do that in a little bit more accelerated schedule.
Thank you. Facilities and finance.
Yes, thank you. Right, we spoke to RK Environmental about a week ago, actually December 1st, I'm sorry. Mr. McGinnis was in attendance to discuss RK's availability to provide additional support in the areas since the district does not have certified industrial hygienists or someone with similar experience on staff. and Facilities Department staff, and Ms. Doherty and Mrs. Walker, informed the committee that one of the district facility supervisors has resigned his position effective January 22nd, 2022, or sooner if the district can accommodate them. The district will be posting for a replacement shortly. Ms. Doherty already informed the committee that the district has identified a potential interim director of facilities to work with the district if needed when our current interim director's availability comes to an end by the end of February. The committee also reviewed the vacancies within the department. Currently, there are 5 to 6 full-time custodial positions, a few full part-time custodial positions, and maintenance position that need to be filled. The district has posted and is also extending postings to applicants for this position. There was a grant, school and small business energy efficient stimulus program that we are applying for. The program grant required no more than 75% of the cost of the project approved by the program. Incentivized cap for the school districts, $5 million per school district. If awarded, funds of applicants will have up to 12 months from the date of the approvals to complete all work and submit final reporting documentation. But 1 6-month extension is available for a good cause. Ms. Doherty and the facilities management team have met to set up with Spiegel Architects, which they met on December 2nd to discuss the program and application process. We had a withdrawal from the maintenance reserve. The committee discussed the need for the withdrawal from the district's maintenance reserve to offset the unbudgeted expense for the mold event remediation. The current available balance in maintenance reserve is $1,367,081. The total on the mold related costs incurred included environmental consultant fees, lab testing, remediation, cleaning, and the purchase of additional dehumidifiers and air scrubbing equipment is $719,809. The withdrawal from the maintenance reserve will be included on the December board voting agenda tonight. The budget process and timeline budget manual. The district issued a budget preparation manual to the district and school administration to provide guidance in compiling the information needed for next year's budget. Initial budget information is due by December 10th. Budget calendar. The board must adopt and file a tentative budget by Monday, March 21st. Public hearing for this final budget must be held between Monday, April 25th and Monday, May 9th. Ms. Doherty and Ms. Walker discussed the principal's meeting school walkthroughs that central administration has been doing in the building with the principals. One of the purposes of these meetings is to serve as a forum to discuss 22-23 budget items and building needs. Ms. Doherty and Ms. Walker also reminded the committee that the administration will be updating the board at workshop meetings starting in January on the budget process. Individual committees will be discussing the budget as well. And Ms. Doherty, you want to talk about the firearms?
Sure. There is an item on the agenda tonight for the replacement of the Thompson fire alarm system, doing repairs and replacement. We are getting that through a cooperative purchasing agreement. We did get 2 proposals to compare, and so we are going with the one that's on the agenda. They did say that they would have availability to start the work over the winter break, so we're happy about that, and we're looking forward to getting that project done so that we can resume normal operations of the fire system.
So does that mean the fire watch will be over?
Yes, once the project is complete.
So then are there any other problems in any of the other buildings, right? So this is
Right
that
now, that's
Thompson?
the only building that we have a fire alarm.
So Thompson's the only building left that has
Yes.
fire alarm issues?
So with the approval of this contract tonight, they can start work over the winter break and we can get that resolved.
Yeah, I mean, it was a sort of long sort of thing going.
Yeah, it was way too.
Like it was one school, then another school, then something happened month. So, you know, when we say it's done, that means all the other buildings were checked, no more fire alarm issues. You're saying it's not.
At the current time, I mean, obviously, there's always the possibility of something that we have to address, so, yeah.
But these were
Resolve
bigger
all the
events.
outstanding issues that were at the beginning of the year.
This was the project that was done over the summer. We shouldn't have had to go in so far.
It went on for months, right? We didn't know
Right.
until like recently.
Yep,
That it
exactly.
was, right, and we were paying the fire watch on a daily
Yes.
basis, right?
Yep. So now it's on the agenda, and I'll follow.
And then one of the things, Frank, did the consultant ever give us a report? I apologize.
Like a mold report?
There's just the whole report, he spoke to us a little bit about it, I think he was gonna comprise it and, give it over.
I still hasn't given us a report.
He has a little bit of information, right?
We've reviewed the draft, but he's adding information as far as the recommendations go. That's what Frank was talking about. getting
Oh, okay.
Information about our.
They reviewed it with us, but he wants to finalize and send it over.
Did it look, did it look like another question, what did we get, what you wanted, did it look like we wanted, or we're not sure?
I can't even speak about that because it's draft, so let me see.
I got you.
Okay, next is policy, but Mr. Padula is going to jump in because he was supposed to speak under the American Rescue Plan number 9. That's my fault, I didn't realize that. You could start it off and then Jack will jump in on the policy, right?
Let me start, I can jump, let me go.
Everyone do
reverse.
it now.
So policy met December 8th. We discussed 2 items that are on the voting agenda tonight. The first one, or the second one, is actually teacher testing policy, which is up for vote tonight. And the second one, the administration and the policy committee discussed the change to school exclusion protocol that Mrs. Walker alluded to before, and I guess now.
Yeah, sure. So, thank you. So Mrs. Walker and Mrs. Deacon both reached out to me and spoke about, what is legally permissible in relation to school exclusion for close contacts. And so they had proposed, and we discussed an amendment to the district's protocol for that. And this is only in relation to in-school designated close contacts. And really the thought behind it was that the need for students to be in school for social, emotional, school readiness, and academic purposes, when compared with the incidence of in-school transmission, that the numbers showed really balanced in favor of amending the district protocols. In practice, the policy of removing the unvaccinated children just resulted in much greater loss of in-school time than positive cases were resulting from there. So the administration came up with this protocol that effective tomorrow, if that's how the board votes now, is that in-school close contacts of COVID-19 positive individuals shall be notified of their status as being a close contact. The individuals shall not be mandatorily excluded from school or work. This applies to staff and students, but may voluntarily be excused for self-quarantine. If students voluntarily self-quarantine due to being identified as an in-school close contact, they shall be eligible for supplemental instruction for up to 10 days from the date of the close contact. Close contact shall monitor for COVID-19 symptoms and shall not appear for school should symptoms be present. CDC recommends that any individual undergo COVID-19 screening testing 5 days after being a close contact, and the district, provided state funds remain available, shall make COVID-19 testing available for any one of those designated individuals on request. The district will continue to monitor the data and adjust these protocols accordingly as the data supports. And like I said before, this is limited to in-school close contacts and does not affect any close contact occurring outside of the school environment. The other protocol that was discussed is, as you know, we've discussed this at a previous meeting. Executive Order 253 requires us to have a testing policy for covered workers. So most of it is pretty standard what we discussed at a prior meeting. The only change, really substantive change, is that in-home testing is permitted, provided that the test has received emergency use authorization by the Food and Drug Administration, which is referenced in Executive Order 253. And I've worked with Mr. Ranella on preparing a form related to that. So I don't know if he wants to address that since he's sitting at a microphone now. On the spot. I mean, just briefly, there's really not a lot of detail to that.
Yeah, so it's a pretty simple form. It basically just requiring the staff member to fill out their name, indicate whether it's positive or negative, if they used emergency use authorized test, and sign off if they presented it to the administrator of the school nurse.
Right, and other than that, the district has been testing weekly with Rover Labs and saliva testing, thanks to the efforts of the Hagen have been implemented. So that should be the process going forward.
They also have to submit by a certain date too, right? Correct.
It's every week.
It's important too.
It's every week.
But they have to submit that form by date.
Every week, they set up a time and they submit.
Thank you. Anything else, Jack? No, that was the policy.
All right, any questions? All right, curriculum and instruction. Tom.
All right. So There's quite a few things we spoke about. One of them had to do with the comprehensive health and physical education curriculum. We had approved our curriculum back in May, but we had a policy come up where it was, we had a modified policy and for us some questions on what is our curriculum for the new health guidelines. So in addition, there's also parents who are asking about, having access to curriculum in general. So to combine those two topics, one, the district is going to make curriculum available to parents, not just for health, but for all. Health will be the first one available. I think it's going to be easier for parents when they see the link to go in there to look at elementary, middle, and high school on their own instead of me trying to go through it. I think we went through the mandates of what they look like now, just a matter of what the details look like, what the text looks like that we're going to use. So that will be made available first. We'll have to update folks on how that comes along. There is a curriculum guide we have now. What the idea is going to be is that there will be a link, also a way to find the actual curriculum itself. Now, it won't be on individual web pages because the data is it's too massive. So that's gonna happen. Also, for elementary schools, we don't have curriculum guides. So they're gonna have to develop a guide for this, and also for the health curriculum, the first one's rolled out, so folks can look at it and sort of comment on it. But I think it's a great idea. I mean, when folks are telling us that they have to pay $2 or whatever it was, or $1.75 for copies, I think that was just antiquated craziness. So I think that was great. The administration was fine doing that. And I don't know.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that in the meantime, while we're working to get that up, if anyone requests a curriculum, it's going to be emailed to you.
Yeah, it's going to be. We're done with those days. I think this is a big turn, because I think all curriculum that we have in high schools is always a question of what is it, right? You go through this guide and it's hard to really tell. In addition, and I'll pass over to Dr. Kerrigan, some proposed changes in the high school science sequencing and some new courses that are being developed.
I went big vote, so good evening, everybody. So for next school year, we're proposing a couple of new courses at the high school level. We have multivariable calculus for the math enthusiasts, which is equivalent to calculus 3 in college. We have about 13 students who are in Cal BC right now as juniors, so they'll be able to take a dual enrollment class offered through Seton Hall, which carries 4 credits that they can pay up front for if they choose to do so. So we'll have students leaving high school with up to 10 credits in calculus, 12 credits in calculus if they choose to do so. So we're very excited about that. We also have Introduction to Data Science. This is a course that has caught national attention and is a very popular elective for seniors that we will be offering starting next year. And in the high school with our resequencing, we're also going to offer Algebra 1 honors for 10th graders who demonstrate some talent and ability in 9th grade honors geometry. So I'll get them on the honors track a little bit sooner if they choose to do so. And again, all of these are options. We're not forcing anybody, but if students choose to challenge themselves and would like to pursue higher levels in mathematics, we do have those options available for them. For the Arts Academy, we have 5 new electives: advanced acting and play directing, dance for health and fitness, establishing healthy lifestyle habits, advanced drawing honors, instrumental music studio, and piano and keyboarding technique 2 honors. So we're also adding to our elective offerings. In terms of science, as you know, last year we resequenced our high school mathematics offerings. We inverted geometry and algebra 1 in light of national recommendations, assessments that were given, namely the SAT and the graduation assessment. Those are assessments that are algebra heavy. So we wanted to focus 10th and 11th grade on algebra and build more of a coherent 8th and 9th grade experience for students in geometry heavy classes. Keeping the same philosophy in mind, in science, we're proposing eliminating the fundamentals of science course in 9th grade and having all students go into 9th grade biology. We used to have a fundamentals course in 9th grade due to standardized testing requirements of the past. But now that there's an 11th grade graduation requirement that touches on life science, physical science, and earth science, we're looking to get all students in 9th grade biology, whether it's regular, in class support, or whichever level. And then we're also, that'll take place next year, but in the future, we're looking to develop an 11th grade physical science course that isn't quite physics, but gives students the scope of physical science that they would need to be able to be successful on the 11th grade graduation assessment. So that's a work in progress. But moving into next year, we're looking at removing the fundamentals course from 9th grade, which used to delay students from getting into biology, and putting all students into biology in 9th grade, similar to how they're all going into geometry in 9th grade. So it'll be a more coherent experience for everybody. We have the presentation we can post online, which shows the math and science connection between the two courses, 9 through 12th grade. And we're just excited to raise the level of achievement for students and create a more coherent experience.
That'd be great if we could post that. That's great. Thank you.
Sure.
I just have a question.
Sure.
Mr. Chair. Would you be able to get us the number of students that are actually participating in the Arts Academy
Sure.
pathway?
Mhm.
So we haven't seen that in a while.
Sure.
I know they were low 2 years ago. I'm curious what they are now.
I can report back on that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dr. Perry. We also spoke about, and Ms. Berger will be able to fill us in a little bit more about career pathways, which I think is very exciting. CTE, the CTE application. We talked in also Title I and ESL. If you also could talk about CTE and the career pathways, the difference, what they are. I know
Sure.
folks are aware of it, just so you know the difference.
Absolutely. So under number 4, we've been exploring woodworking and skilled trades to bring in some trades to our high school programs. We had a virtual meeting with Careers Connections, which told us about the curriculum that they can supply, set up for particular courses. It's a 4-year course, and it primarily deals with woodworking. Tom Summers, who headed that particular meeting, recommended that we talk to Roxbury because they were really using the Career Connections curriculum. When we talked to Roxbury School District, they kind of did a little bit of a different spin with their program, and it's more focused on skilled trades. So we want to make sure we do like all of our research to make sure that we're implementing, exactly what our students are looking for. So the Roxbury curricula deals with local businesses within their town, as well as Habitat for Humanity. And they're working on building a house through their skilled trades program. So there's multiple trades being offered. They've built 2 pretty extensive labs in their buildings. And the assistant superintendent was the one who developed the budget for it. So we did, Frank, who headed this particular meeting from Roxbury, offered us to come in January and visit the program, so we can kind of get a visual, see what types of tools and resources they're using, look at their plans for their Habitat for Humanity development. And the particular gentleman, Frank, that we spoke with, he does have a period that he works during the day, looking and working with the community to try to get donations to help support their program, their skilled trades program. So we're still in the works, doing a lot of research on that. But that's number 4.
Yeah, and I just want to, so this is where trying to get some of our students who are for vocational programs to get them aligned with unions, trades. So when they walk out of buildings, they're actually walking into a career.
Yes.
And I think one of the things we spoke about, I think Mr. Capone was talking about talking to shared services, talking to the township, or Middletown. We talk about, different pathways and different, groups that can help. It's help placing students,
Yes.
right, and giving them careers other than just going to the county vocational, coming out, have some kind of, career path.
Yes, Mr. Capone and Mr. Heffernan, so
Yeah,
like, even for
and
that.
And so at the end of the program, I think you said it's at Roxbury.
Yes.
Are they coming out with certification or licensing at the end of that?
They didn't mention that, but it is, because it is skilled trades, so that's kind of what they're focused on, but they did not mention certification. I might follow up with that.
Yeah, from what I understand, that's not the case. Most of the unions require you to be a high school graduate, and the carpentry union is no different, before you could even, start being I guess it's I don't know, that's what the apprentice, yeah. But they come out with skills that these organizations want, and they're more likely to be hired by the organizations because they're trained in their, for what they want. Plus also he was saying that it's not just going to the unions, but there's other companies, non-union companies that really want to hire these.
I also think, I did my research on that program. I went to New Jersey School Boards. The person at New Jersey School Boards is Dan Sinclair, who ran that program, because the people that were presenting, they were talking about bringing our kids in, training them and getting them licensed. So I think that that's something that we really have to look for. If it's a 4-year course, you would hope that they would come out with something ready to go.
Yes, that was
Maybe
the career
reach out
connection.
to school boards and ask for him.
Sure.
And, because I got that from our school board rep, that he ran that program, it was really a great program. And they were like thriving on how desperate they were to get employees, and that they had a place where we would probably have to bus our students, and they would give them all the training. And hopefully when they're done, they would come out with jobs.
We definitely want to make sure
That's
we do all our
kind of what we
research.
want, because we don't want people to go through a 4-year course and then come out, yeah, maybe I'm really not gonna go for that license. Where if you get them through it and they get a license, they're motivated to go out and get that job and start working.
And plus only certain trades get licenses.
Exactly.
Carpentry, you know, you have your plumbers and you have your electricians, they're the license. Masons don't.
Yeah, that's one, yeah, also.
They open up their own.
To become an electrician.
No, but a carpenter, doesn't he become a master carpenter? Doesn't a carpenter become a master carpenter? Isn't that the certificate they get?
No, that's actually just, that's something that sells of flooring, but it's not really not a real thing. It's not like a state license like you have to be a licensed electrician or a licensed plumber. Okay.
I think this is a very exciting thing that you guys are working on.
Yeah, absolutely.
We've been talking about trades for, rebuilding our trades like we used to, long time.
Can I tell you when we were having the meeting with Roxbury? We were all like, and it was a Zoom meeting, he was up there and we were down here, but everybody on that call was so excited, everybody's asking questions left and right, this is really, just to say it's nice, it was nice to be talking about something, maybe getting something off the ground that we've been talking about for probably 10 years. It was also nice to be talking about education again, and just like really thinking about what we can do for our students and kind of put what's been in the background, but in the foreground, COVID and all that stuff, to the side and really get to the job we're really excited about doing.
And it's nice too, not the emphasize, but college prep is not the only thing. And I think that, I think that's also nice too, especially, I think folks are revisiting the fact that there's other careers out there.
But one of the interesting thing is, when you get to I think it's the 3rd year of the program, it's an honors level program.
Yes.
So, anyone that might be going into an architectural, or an engineering
Right, still an
program
option to go.
may take that course, because it's not, they're worried about their rank and stuff getting into the school, they're still getting honors weight credit, because it's a challenging course.
Yeah, our team is really just trying to status talk with the students, see their needs, see their interests, and expand the great programs we already have. So yeah, we're very excited about that. For the CTE, the update on that is we started going kind of back just to give some background. We had surveyed the students, talked with the students, put out a career inventory and surveyed the students in our middle schools and high schools. These surveys come back after the students fill in this particular Google form, and it gives us particular numbers, and the numbers are associated with the different career paths that they're interested in. And as I analyzed the data and presented it to the team, the business area was the most prominent of all the student results. So the decision was made to move forward with a business career tech ed program. The updates that we gave at the curriculum meeting were the CTE advisory board. So that advisory board, it's very exciting. It's a very strong advisory board. We have business partners on it, parents, teachers, students, administration. So every stakeholder necessary, also including New Jersey Department of Labor, as well as the New Jersey Department of Education. So the advisory board works together to put together opportunities for the students. A lot of our students will present at the advisory board meetings to showcase and highlight what they are learning in these particular business courses. It is going to be a 4-course sequence, and part of that sequence and part of the requirements of building a CTE program is to offer a work-based learning opportunity where the students are going out and applying what they're learning, real world application. So I've been working to secure some work-based learning opportunities for the students, contacting companies in Middletown and the Red Bank area. And some of them are actually also one of the advisory board members was in contact with one of our teachers as well. So we've had lots of input from the directors, from teachers, to make sure it's a very strong advisory board because they can ultimately provide a lot of opportunities for our students, as well as provide feedback. When students share what they're learning at the meetings, it's very powerful and very strong. And it's also an opportunity for them to give voice, not to just what they're learning, but to also share, this is what I'd like to learn more about. And with our business partners on this particular board, they can say, okay, we can offer you this opportunity, or I know someone who can help you with this opportunity to, help them grow and help them learn. So after I made the contacts, the company said they were interested. I did pull from our 4 business courses and gave them information on our curriculum and what goals are based off of each course. And they're going to send me some information back on how they can help us with the advisory board. And all that information gets put into our CTE application as we develop that.
So what are the 4 courses?
We have intro to business,
Right.
business ethics, criminal and personal law, and career seminar.
And this is the application, we're still filing, the application. This is for, the whole point is for a grant. So This-
No, well, it's really for the students. It is a very, it's kind of like a prestigious thing for them
Yeah.
on there. When they finish this, they will be known to have fulfilled and completed a career and tech ed pathway,
Right.
which is what a lot of companies and businesses are looking for.
Right.
And is something held very high regard for employers, colleges, pretty much all around everywhere. So
So we have to get the application to get the program certified.
yeah, so well,
We get money
yes,
for it.
to
We
get
get money for it?
certified as a career and tech ed,
Right.
yes.
We get money for it?
After we get certified,
Yeah.
there's a bit of a wait period, and then we can apply for what's called the Perkins grant.
Right.
And the Perkins grant we can allocate money from the Perkins grant to put towards our business program. You're welcome. Okay, and then ESEA grant updates. We had a comparability report that was submitted in the end of November that has been approved by the state. That just basically looks over our enrollments for our schools and our teachers, just to show every district has to submit one that receives ESEA funds. But basically, it just shows a ratio to show that we're within compliance with the DOE for the ratios of teachers and students that we have in our classrooms. There's another financial report, the performance report submission, which is due January 7th. Our ESEA FY22 application was approved on November 19th. So that allows us to, analyze last year's grant for the remaining funds that are left over from FY21. We can now carry them over to FY22 by doing a grant amendment, which will be done in the beginning of the year. And then we also talked about the designation of the Title I status for eligible schools. And we just talked a little bit about High School North, and that has been an eligible school, which as a district, we've decided to not fund, and we talked about the rationale for that. And the rationale kind of goes into the intricacies of the grant. So when you look at the eligibility that you fill out for the ESEA grant, it asks for a total enrollment from each school, as well as the number of free and reduced lunch students for each school. When we fill that out, we pull those numbers from the AASA report, which is like the superintendent's report, which is due in October. So when we look at that, we had, and this is based off of the October 15th numbers, we had a total population of 1,430 students, but only 187 of them were qualified for free and reduced lunch. So with that particular ratio, we can only qualify as a targeted assistance school. Targeted assistance means you can only service a certain amount of students that meet a criteria when you're looking at data from multiple measures. So Just to give you, for instance, after all the district stakeholders look at the data for the 187 students, they may say, okay, we're looking at these particular, let's say 3 or 4 assessments, because we always look at multiple measures. And out of those 187 students, 50 of the students qualify and meet the criteria for maybe not performing as well in ELA or math. So then those 50 students will be able to be served with the ESEA funds. So when you look at research and what research tells about, ELA and math, it's always saying that, if we're kind of catching the gap earlier, as in the elementary schools, then we can slow it down and actually accelerate, and there won't be as big of an achievement gap when students get to middle school and high school. So the funds were allocated more towards our elementary and middle schools to, address that unfinished learning or address those academic gaps over the past couple of years. I also looked with district administration at 187 schedules for those particular students. And a lot of those students are already in high placement courses and electives which they enjoy. So if we were to put a program in place for 50 students, that may mean pulling them from courses which they've selected in their programs that they're currently in. I also, another path that if we were to address, like those 50 students, could be providing after school program, because that's what a lot of the districts do in Monmouth County. But I am on an articulation team for Monmouth County in regards to the Kukuju grants. And over the past 2 years, we've talked about the challenges school districts have had in providing a after-school remedial program, because there's just so many things out there that our students want to do, such as work or play sports. So when districts try to implement a program like that, they're not as successful as we would like them to be. Sorry for the long explanation.
No, I really appreciate that. That was fantastic. I really appreciate the work that you put behind that. That was great. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, number 7 is ESL 3-year plan. Our last 3-year plan was completed in the year 2017. So the DOE has put out a mandate that we have to create a new ESL plan that is due on January 31st. So I've developed the committee of administration, being principals, directors, the ESL teachers, and specialists within the district. And we've been meeting regularly to go over the different needs that we see and the strengths of our program. So that way, when we complete this particular plan, which is over about 100 questions, we can make sure that we have diverse input and feedback into our plan and how we will move forward. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good. Shared services.
This report we met this evening, 5:30.
Wait, Mike, did you have a question?
Yeah, student activities.
Student activities, sorry, Mike.
Thanks,
Good.
Thank you. All right, sorry.
No problem. We met this evening with the mayor's office, 5:30. Going to report was an updated report, Monmouth feasibility study. The award was made official to Pinnacle to start their analysis and feasibility study. And Friday, we had a kickoff meeting at the mayor's office to speak with Pinnacle about going forward.
Mike, did you have anything for student activities? No. All right, let's see, personnel, we did that for session. Negotiations, and did you want to report out?
Well, the update that we have for the board is that in addition to the meetings that we've already started with the MTEA, we are working on lining up meetings with the other 2 bargaining units that we have expiring contracts this year, the 2 Teamsters groups. So we did reach out to their representative who is going to be giving us some dates for early January that we can hopefully line up and have our meetings with the facilities group and paraprofessionals.
questions? All right, this time we'll have an opportunity for the public comment on agenda items only.
Laura Adams.
Yes.
16 White Acre. I wanted to begin by thanking Ms. Walker and the board members to recognize the importance of changing the quarantine rules and bringing this important policy change forward tonight. By implementing this change, Middletown is proving themselves as a leader in putting children first and following science. This change is so important as it allows our community to be a catalyst for other school districts to follow our steps. I urge all board members to please vote to support this policy change. We can no longer remove perfectly healthy children from our school. We can no longer deny our children the right to an in-person education. Loss of learning along with social and emotional damage is undeniable, and this is an essential step to get our children back on track. As the mother of a child who was excluded from school and remained completely healthy throughout its quarantine, it is time to make this critical change. The number of members of the community who support this change is overwhelming and large. And we are aware of the 3 board members who are up for re-election next year, and we'll take note of the way we vote tonight on this matter. Thank you.
Emily Espinos, I also just want to thank the board for the policy changes, both in the quarantine and with the teacher testing. I think both are extremely important and vital to keeping our schools up and running and keeping our schools open and our kids in the classroom. Again, I agree with what you just said, that lifting the quarantine mandates for healthy children, there's no reason for healthy children not to be in school. It's difficult enough for students to learn the obstacles that they need to overcome every day, such as masking. When you add on having to be on virtual instruction when you're healthy and not fully able to participate in your school day, makes it very difficult and confusing for them. A child should stay home from school when they are sick and too sick to participate in learning. When you're home and completely healthy enough to be in front of the computer doing work, you're healthy enough to be in a classroom. Our kids are not sick and should not made to be think they are. So I urge also that all board members vote yes on both policies. Thank you.
Hi, Kevin, this is just a simple comment directed towards technology. In regards to the Securely app. I've been dealing with.
You have to address your comments.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's right.
I apologize. I've been dealing with my child's school and through Securely trying to add my son onto the app. I've been working with both Securely and NetSwamp since 11/29 to finally get my son on the app. It shouldn't be that difficult to add an additional child onto it. So if maybe they can fix adding another child, this is just some user feedback, that would help.
Thank you, Mr. Surya, look into it. See no one else at the mic, I'm going to close the public portion. I need a motion to approve the minutes from.
I would say thank you for helping with the quarantine policy.
I'm sorry, stating the record. Hi. I'm dealing with the situation at home. My 8-year-old was crying, going on a 4th week now because of the masks. So I'm wondering, like, I know you don't make the rules of it, but when the rules aren't making sense, when is the board going to try to stand up more for these children wearing masks that do nothing against the virus? A little video clip. This was my morning this morning.
You don't get it that we hate school. You get out. You don't get it. You don't get it. You don't get it. Stop winning is so bad. Then we go to school and you're bad. Stop.
Stop. So
This is going on 4 weeks now. Of course, after the weekend, it's always the worst. I have other videos. We're going to the doctors tomorrow to speak about it because the damage that's being done psychologically is not outweighing the benefits of sending it to the school. He's being reprimanded in the hallways. One being the one constant coming into play was the SDSS person in his school who's supposed to comfort you and make you feel good to be there, but she's the one constant name coming up of reprimanding you. It's pure torture, and I actually feel like I'm a child abuser at this point, sending him to school. So when I called the pediatricians, they said they're getting a lot of calls like this. So I know my son's not the only one having this problem, and it's just not fair. And I hope people can take into insight for help what's going on with these children in their minds. You don't have to wear it anywhere else. You could be on a wrestling mat, you could be at a packed hockey rink, you can be at a football stands, anywhere. As soon as out recess, gym, anywhere. But as soon as you're in the hallways in your classroom, you're gonna get in trouble for not having it on properly. It's absolutely absurd and insane to me at this point. And anyone enforcing the rules is who I'm questioning the more. They don't make sense. So I have nothing else to say. The video speaks for itself.
Thank you. I need a motion to approve the minutes for 10:25 for the executive session, the workshop session, and regular board meeting. I need 11:08 for the executive session, 11:08 special meeting, executive session for 11:15, workshop for 11:15, executive session for 11:22, and voting meeting for 11:22. So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstention. Under the report of the president, I just want to say there's a lot of great holiday events going on in our schools. I hope everyone takes the opportunity to go to your child's school and participate in these events. The kids are very excited to put the performances on, and I know that they would appreciate the attendance of everybody that can make it there. And on behalf of the board, I think we'd like to wish everybody a happy holiday season and hope it's a nice break for our students coming up. I know we have a couple weeks left, but this is our last meeting of the month, and we hope that everybody gets some time to relax and unwind, and hopefully things will change in January. That's all we can hope for. Okay, under the report of the business administrator, I need a motion for number 1 through 4.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Under the report of the superintendent, did you want to give an update?
I just also wanted to wish our whole school community a really joyous and peaceful holiday season. I think we all need some joy and some peace in our lives, and I'm hoping that we'll be able to get a little bit open break.
Okay, I need a motion for number 2 through 5.
So moved.
Seconded.
Discussion. I do have something to say. We are getting hundreds of emails about the school calendar. And I just want everybody to realize how the school calendar committee met. It is on here number 4. We had administrators, board members, union reps, all in attendance at this, parents, all in attendance at this meeting. And the upsetment of the emails we're getting is for the week of November. I just want to put it out there that the president of the teachers union did agree to the November. He felt it was in the best interest of all teachers that be the way that we do PD. So I just want to put it out there. That wasn't a decision made solely by the board like social media is claiming. This was a collaborative decision, but based on high recommendations from the president of the teachers union also. So I just want to put it out there that, that's where recommendations come from. We all went back and forth. It wasn't an easy decision. We all had different opinions of what we would have liked to see in the in the calendar, but the 3 PD days were the top priority, and that's where they were chosen to go. So I just want to put that out there before we vote. And hopefully all these people that are emailing us are listening to us, that it was not solely our decision. It was a recommendation and highly supported by the unions. So with that said, any other discussion?
I agree with you. No, I would, yeah, better allow it.
You guys show my.
I agree with what you just said. I was there, I was one of the representatives there, and I agree with what you just said, Joe.
And I do want to go on the record to say is when that was recommended, the first thing I said was, are you sure that your staff is going to agree to this? And I was assured. So I just want to clear myself on this, and I did question it because we want what's best for everybody.
Well, we know what happens with past calendar committees also, we know, workshops.
Okay, if there's no other discussion, we need to take a vote. All in favor? We're voting on 1 through, yeah, 2 through 5.
I guess I'm all except abstaining from C2.
No on 4.
Yes.
You're voting no on 2.
No on Franklin's, no on 4.
I am voting no on 2. And I'm going to abstain on 4. Under.
Mr. Holden, does that mean the school calendar?
Yes.
Yes.
I wasn't sure.
I just hope in the future that the whole purpose of having representatives on the calendar committee is to bring your input from your constituents so that everybody knows where, where they go. And just sometimes I feel in the past that that's not happening. If it did, we might have gotten some feedback on a different calendar. Okay, I need a motion for student services 1 through 3. So moved.
Seconded.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Under facilities, I need a motion for number 1 and 2.
So moved.
Seconded.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Under policy, I need a motion for number 1, 3, and 4, because there is no number 2 on here. So 1, 3, and 4.
So moved.
Seconded.
Discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Under curriculum, I need a motion for number 1.
So moved.
Seconded.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Under finance, I need a motion for number 1 through 3.
So moved.
Seconded. Just a
Discussion?
quick question on 2, what is that again? Number 2.
Approval of fund resolution competitive contract.
Number 2 is the approval for the board to do a competitive contracting process for mental health support services. These are the services that we're going to be looking to fund with the ARPASSER grant. But we're doing it, we have to do a competitive process on it. So if we were getting bids in this category of services, you are allowed to do a competitive contract where you issue the RFP, you score it by
Right, just in
program.
addition, yes.
No, this would be this would be those services.
Those funds, right?
Those
Yes, that
funds
could
and the services that, we were given an outline of, we are putting out for a competitive process.
Okay, so in other words, we're not doing the assessment, that they have to.
We're doing a process, and any firm is able to respond.
The dollar amount
Yes,
is high enough that we have to go out for this RFP.
Oh, okay, so I'm just going by the last presentation. Where they were talking.
That frames what we were looking for, and that's now the scope of work that we will be
So
accepting.
they may or may
proposals.
not bid on it.
Exactly.
Right. I'm sure they're planning on.
But it's still for the fit to return,
Yes.
All of those services are.
And the tier one was only for training.
Right, the scope of work is not different, but it's
All right.
subject to a competitive process.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Need a motion to approve number 1 under student activities?
So moved.
Seconded.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
I oppose.
Okay. Under personnel, I need a motion for number 1 through 18.
So seconded.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Old business?
Yeah, I would like to bring up the topic of security in the secondary schools again. Talking about revisiting the discussion on either source officers or, I
Class
think.
3. I think they were called.
What's that?
Wasn't it class 3 or something like that?
Well, last time we spoke about it, I guess in class 3 was recently retired officers that would be under the police department. And it was a conversation a couple of years ago, and it kind of didn't really, I don't know where it went, honestly. And, I guess in light of recent events, I guess it kind of makes it even more potent or more, I think, more important to talk about in secondary schools in particular. So I'm hoping we can start those conversations again as a board and maybe do with the township.
I think maybe that's just something the shared services should bring up to them. Speak about it. I think it's a good idea. Probably willing to open that discussion at the shared services.
That'd be great, because I think last time we spoke about it, it was Homedale, Red Bank, I mean, a lot of surrounding towns, students. That'd be great.
Can I just say one thing? The last time around, it was more that the board wasn't willing to go in that direction. So I would think that the board would want to decide before they decide talking to the police department about any shared services, if that is the direction they want to go. That's
Well, like I said, I didn't even know why I just appeared, so
Yeah,
I'm
that's
bored.
why the board had, at that time.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, so it'd be, I mean, I don't know if we can do that, talk to Joe and Frank, but I'm definitely for having those discussions.
Does anybody have any
Any
objection to us trying to talk to the town about this?
Let's talk about what we're really talking about.
Yeah.
So what is it we're really talking about?
Resource officers, police.
Doing what?
Well, there's
Doing what?
resource
Carrying
officers
guns,
are
not
different,
carrying
yeah.
guns?
Yes,
That's
or police do, yeah.
Yeah.
That was the question, that was the downfall of carrying guns.
But there are two separate entities. A resource officer is a much higher level, totally under the control of the police department. It is a police officer, whereas these class, I believe it's class 3, are retired officers who, there is some liaison with the police departments where they get their training, that's
That
where they
wasn't-
get their.
That wasn't what was, what it was,
Retired.
the full-time police are resource, are expensive, right?
Yes.
They're on pension.
It was the class 3.
They're full-time. Class 3 would still be under the police department. And the way that was described last time by Chief Weber, he spoke to us a few times, would be you have to be retired within the last 3 years. You'd be under police. So you would basically have a sidearm that you would register with the police department. You would then pick up in the morning, go to school, and their job would be to school, and then they would deposit their sidearm back with the police department. But Chief Weber, the police department organization, this is a police officer. It's just that their scope of their work is defined for the school day in the building. And there would be an agreement between the school district and the police department where it would be. So for example,
Yes.
people were worried
That's
about
what-
some kids having a scuffle in the hallway, right? We still have security and regular business. This would be.
Yeah, that's right. There's some nuances.
Well, they don't have a pension
Well,
anymore,
there's-
so they're
there's-
cheaper with the ones less.
Yeah, there's more, I wouldn't say control by the school, but there's more coordination with the school. on-
Right, our security would have
Yeah.
to.
So can we, yes. can we
Yeah,
decide
discuss
to
it
go
in shared
forward?
service. And
Yeah, I mean, unless someone has objections to that.
like I said before, John, I'd like to take the shared services.
Yeah.
I'm for it. Let's speak about it. Let's see what kind of we're talking about, and we'll come back and report to the board. Good.
Seems like everyone's kind of okay talking about it.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
And then the other thing we spoke about briefly was just having someone, I guess, from talk about the layout of what our social emotional wellness looks like. We're talking about bidding and things, and there's a lot of different resources we have. But, explaining how they fit together right? We had tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. They were talking a lot about tier 3, tier 2, where there's clinicians and various things involved, but there's a YMCA services, there's various different, I know, like links and websites, we have a lot of resources, but how that all comes together in districts, maybe one of our board meetings, one of our workshops, someone talked about how the math works, like.
Coordination of our mental health service.
Yeah.
We
There's a
can
lot,
do
there's
that.
a lot.
We can do that. We're really busy right now in that area. So I can't guarantee it's gonna be January, but we'll.
No, I
yeah.
just think,
It's been a really difficult, not only school year, but.
I would definitely say for the budget.
Yeah. But either
Some of
January or
those
February.
positions are gonna be included in the budget. and
February.
it's helpful to,
January, February.
Yeah. Any other old business? New business.
I want to understand. If we decide to take med school for our children, what do we do to the school district? Is there a financial liability? Is there something that we face?
Yeah, I mean, you're violating an executive.
Okay, but.
You can be cited individually. There could be, what probably would happen would be that the governor's office would sue the district to compel you to put masks back on. That's most likely. But there's a myriad of different remedies that the governor's office would have.
The statute attached to this violation.
Yes, it's in a section of the code that's somewhat different. It's called Appendix A. 9F, I think. Something like that. I think it's cited.
There's no way around this. You get them up here that brings that tape.
I mean,
We're doing to children.
We've advocated for that.
I know.
I've spoken personally with the governor's office several times. So is board leadership and administration as recently as a couple of weeks ago. I mean, I hate to say, I don't want this to sound like we're passing the buck, but like everyone needs to go to their state legislatures, call the governor's office. I mean, that's where the argument should be made.
If we don't need just 9 people, we need the whole community, everybody feels that way to make their statements and
We've got
contact.
statements.
I know, Jack, but we need more numbers. We need people to make a strong stand together, and I think that's one way that
So
you
we
can
get urgency is a schedule suit. I'm concerned about the district actually getting sued. That's not doing what they're
He's suing himself.
Yeah, you're using taxpayer
Yeah,
money to
move
sue
away,
us and then
move somewhere else.
taxpayer money for us. to go
Is there
down.
any way to do like a carve out of procedures and the students are allowed to go and receive it or anything, any kind of carve out?
Not really.
Carve out. I mean, this is the thing though, and everyone sees it. When he needs to communicate, he takes his mask off to communicate wherever he is. The NJEA is partying, Christmas parties, no one's wearing a mask. So we all understand it's hypocrisy, but these kids are, and I as a parent will completely support every parent in here that spoke about it, that it is damaging, very, very damaging. My son is starting to lose skills, not being able to recognize facial cues from teachers. It is very damaging. So I don't know, I mean, we've been going around this block for a long time, but I don't know what else we can do.
We're also hearing from parents about speech impediments, that kids are having a hard time following their teachers and their peers, and they can't understand and they can't express themselves and they can't see expression. So, I mean, we're getting a lot of emails about that too, and it's just so many things that.
Parents came in and didn't send their kids without masks. Parents rebelled and sent their kids without masks.
We ignore it.
What?
That wouldn't be good. We are bound to do it, and that would just cost, that would just be, please don't put that out there. That's the last thing we want to do. We want to bring our community together. That's fine. We have to come together and like, we don't have to divide ourselves.
That's-
We're already divided.
I mean, the problem that districts face is that the governor made the districts enforce his rule.
The governor also said, we are under obligation to have a mask policy, correct?
Right.
Are we also under obligation to the EO to enforce that mask policy with penalties? So I think that's what
I mean,
people are trying to do.
It doesn't explicitly say that, but that's implied, isn't it? We can't have a policy. So the EO says that you have to have a policy about mask wearing. We can't have a policy that says you don't have to wear a mask.
No, I'm not saying that, but.
No, but
So,
it's just what we do within like the office. You take it to like a logical, crazy extreme. Like you have to have a policy that in good faith implements the spirit of the executive order as much as whether we like it or not.
No, I agree. I just think we're almost supposed to the parent and just spoke that there's a certain level of, it's not only wearing the mask, it's a feeling of being in trouble all the time.
Yeah.
And that feeling of being in that for a security guard or a teacher or somebody.
I mean, that's something that's
something I
prevalent
wonder if
within
we
the
can
area that you
address
have
that.
flexibility.
Yeah. Another policy.
Yeah, in this resolution. Well, I mean, we did 253, but we have one at 251 also.
So we can speak about that policy. Where it stands right now, I believe is the governor has to state that to the Senate Assembly by December 31st, if he would like to extend his executive order. If he does not state that he wants to extend his executive order, it would expire on January 11th. The only other option he would have at that point, also, if he does not get approved on that, would be to call a health emergency. Those are his two options. I think from there, we could actually come to the board and speak. Because I will not want any more people crying in front of the children.
Can I say something?
You'll have to
Not
open
at
up.
this point.
Yeah, we didn't go to public comment yet.
Oh,
Disservice that we're doing the children right now. And this whole board has ethics that we're supposed to follow. Well, guess what? We're breaking our code of ethics by doing this. And we're
Anybody else in business? Again, I just want to wish our entire community a happy holiday season and spend time with your family and your kids. I'd like to open it up to public comment on any item.
I just want to know something, so if you don't want anybody to, the division, well, masks are not gonna be the division, it's gonna be when Murphy wants to mandate this vaccine. I can tell you now, I will continue to send my kids to school unvaccinated against COVID, because that's my right as a parent. You're gonna have to build an army, or Murphy's gonna have to send his army to send all these damn kids home. This is bullshit. I'm sick. Ridiculous. These poor kids are suffering. And it's only gonna get worse because that's what it's gonna come to. The masks are like in the field now. It's coming to the vaccine. This should not happen to these children. It's unfair. But that's what's gonna happen. That's what it's gonna come down to. So you're gonna divide all these kids. And it's gonna be like, oh, you don't have your vaccine, stay home. Right? It's not fair.
This is Betalacqua, Majestic County Crop. I want to thank members of the board who have been discussing masks, possibility of removing those from our children. I'm a kindergarten parent, and I'm not quite sure if anyone has raised this issue yet, but it's recently come to light that there are many kindergartners who are struggling to learn to read, most of it due to the masks. I don't know if anyone has tried to learn a new language in a mask. I don't think many of us have, but our kindergartners are having a really difficult time learning letter sounds and understanding what teachers are saying and being able to not only to verbalize those sounds, but also then write those sounds. Additionally, because students are masked, teachers are not able to appropriately understand whether or not they are verbalizing things correctly and appropriately correcting or addressing any mistakes that they're making. So there's a large learning gap amongst our youngest learners. In fact, I've heard a number of students who are going to private tutoring classes in order to learn to read because there's such a failure on the part of our schools in recognizing this gap, okay?
There are plenty of parents who are out there paying out of their own pockets to try to have their students just catch up to where they're supposed to be on grade level because of these masks. So it's a real issue. And it's lovely to hear about all these new programs that everyone's implementing and how everyone's excited about all these new things, but you are, I think, missing a very, very large problem. You're going to have an entire grade of kindergartners, first graders who have a severe deficit because reading is obviously the foundation of any subject that they're going to learn. So I challenge any one of you to try to learn something in a mask. Try to sit 8 hours a day, because I guarantee none of us in this room is doing it, not one. You're not sitting there 8 hours a day in this mask, trying to learn, trying to speak, trying to interact. You're just not doing it. You're sitting at your desk and you're emailing, and the things that you or I do each day at our jobs, they're rote. We know how to do these things. These are things that we do with ease, okay? So I challenge you to learn how to do something. Learn to code. Learn something that is out of the realm of anything that you possibly understand. And I guarantee you'll be frustrated, you'll be upset, and there will be an absolute deficit in your ability to learn whatever it is you're trying to learn. That's number one. I want a response from this board as to what we're going to do about these kindergartners who are failing and struggling and not reading at grade level. That's number one. Number two, as a kindergarten parent, I am there every single day watching children get off the bus. Their masks are black with filth. Many of them, not all of them, many of them, black. Have no idea where these masks have been all day. So these masks that are supposed to be in the name of, I don't know, public health, right? They're strapped to their faces with filth. Doesn't seem so healthy to me. I want to know what directives have been given to teachers or administrators or anyone else in school when they see a child with a filthy mask strapped to their face. Because I'm tired of seeing them come home from the bus with masks of filth attached to their face. Not possibly healthy. No way. No one cares though. I haven't seen any one person, any teacher or anyone else or a bus driver have any concern for our children's breathing filth, our children breathing filth. So I want to know what is going to be done to direct teachers or a nurse or anyone in school when they see a child with filth strapped to their face. What are they going to do? I'm tired of seeing children come off the bus this way. Under any other circumstances, this would be seen as neglect or abuse. But because no one wants, to see anyone's face, it's okay to see a mask of filth covering a child's face. I expect there would be some addressing of this issue because I find it disgusting. Thank you.
So clearly, Emory was Venus on everybody's mind coming into this meeting apparently. I've spoken as a Middletown parent before, and everyone knows the story of my children. But tonight, I wanted to come up and speak about the educational impact as a provider in the district of what I'm seeing recently this year and what is going on, the result of the last 2 years. So as the parents have been saying, I am seeing more speech referrals this year. I'm seeing kindergartners, first grade, second graders that teachers say they cannot be understood. These children have not had the proper exposure to speech or language to develop these skills naturally. They were out of school in preschool. They were out of school in kindergarten. They have not been back. You guys have been leaders. Middletown has been leaders. I'm proud of what we've been able to do. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm proud that our kids were in school last year. I'm proud of everything that the board is doing. We are leaders, and we need to continue to be leaders and do whatever we can do. In order for speech and language to develop, the input needs to be the same as the output. We speak to our children from the day they're born because the expected outcome is speech, the use of verbal language. Our youngest students have not had the proper exposure to speech and language because their teachers and their classmates have been masked. I had a litany of testimonials coming to me that I will forward to the board. I hope to print them and give them out to you today, but I had not had the opportunity. of parents who were either did not want to speak tonight or were unable to attend and give their testimonies about their children. I can't possibly read them all in full because we would be here all night. But a parent of a kindergartner sent me an email, and I have permission to share her story, that states that her son has speech delay since he was 18 months old. He is masked in school and therapy since 2.5. He has a mask exemption this year, but even so, due to his teachers and his fellow classmates being masked, he has not had the proper exposure, and his speech is still highly unintelligible. She goes on to say that his private speech therapist contributes this to mask wearing, and the SLP tells her that he's not looking. He's not looking at her when he talks, and she contributes this to mask wearing. I myself have had teachers come up to me and say, my students aren't looking at me. And I have to literally explain to them, of course they're not looking at you. They cannot see you. They're littles, they're looking up. They see a mask, they don't see anything else. And my concern is that we're gonna have a generation of students who are classified and diagnosed wrong. I have students asking me if these children have autism. I'm not at liberty to make that diagnosis, but I can tell you that these children who they're asking about do not have autism. They are a result of COVID, and there will be a diagnosis on the IEPs somewhere along the future that says COVID child, because this is not how children learn. I asked Mrs. Walker and the board members to ask your administration about the amount of referrals that they're seeing in the schools for speech, for INRS, for the health referrals that the district is seeing, to get the numbers, to see what the masks are doing. We all know that there have been children who have been pulled from the school due to mask wearing. I won't go into that again. We know that that's happened. We keep saying we're doing the best that we can, and I disagree. We are doing the best that the government is letting us do. Mrs. Walker and the members of the board need to do what is right and best for our students and stand up to Murphy and his mandates. He is ruining our children. The board wrote a letter in reaction to the mask mandates, which we were all grateful for in the summer. I'm asking the board to write a letter to Murphy stating that Middletown will not participate in any further mandates, especially such as vaccine mandates, as being proactive instead of being reactive to what ultimately, hopefully, pray God, it does not happen, but ultimately we feel is going to happen. So I ask that a letter be written proactively to say that we will not participate in that. I ask you to continue to be leaders in our community and do what is right for our kids. And we cannot talk about education without talking about COVID and masks. We just cannot do it. They go hand in hand, unfortunately, right now, and that is where we are. But I want to thank you, and I want to wish everybody a blessed Christmas.
Emily Stetson, Middletown. I wanted to talk about a situation that's involving my 6-year-old daughter, her social emotional well-being and this district neglecting that over a school policy. I emailed all the board members about our situation, and I did want to thank Mr. Capone and Mr. Donovan for reaching out and getting back to us. My husband and I truly did appreciate that. My family and I have found ourselves in a very unique situation that we did not expect due to COVID, where we sold our Leonardo home, hoping to move to another home within the town, but we didn't have such luck. We reluctantly moved to a rental property only about a mile or so away with our family of 5. Our stay in this rental property is temporary as we're actively looking for a new home to purchase, and we'll break our lease at any given moment. After contacting Middletown about our move, we were told, quote, it would not be a problem for our daughter to stay in Leonardo, and all we would need to do was write a letter to Mr. Kirkpatrick stating our request. We immediately did that, only to find out the request was denied. To say I was devastated is an understatement. Why were we lied to? Why were we told otherwise? This is just the beginning of the inconsistencies, miscommunications, and lack of professionalism we have been dealing with over the past couple of months. After meeting in person with Ms. Walker to discuss and being told, well, if you might have lost your home or you were getting a divorce, we could probably help you. My husband and I were extremely upset by this. Why would we have to be going through something so traumatic to be helped? I did not think it was fair for someone to determine what in my life is considered an extenuating circumstance or not. This is tearing us apart, knowing that they want my daughter, who's 6 years old and has not had a consistent school year since she was 3 years old, due to this COVID pandemic to move schools temporarily, to only have to move again once we find a new home. I'm a kindergarten teacher in Hazlet. I've seen firsthand what this pandemic has done to young students. I know consistency is key. Putting her in potentially 3 different schools in a year is not consistent nor good for her mental health. I also come from a family of teachers, and I know that there are always policies, but we're in a different place in this world right now. Accommodations need to be made to address what's best for children and their mental health. I'm here for one reason and one reason only, and that's to fight for what is right for my daughter. She's a fragile 6-year-old who has a passion for learning and loves school. Why aren't her social emotional needs being considered? We're asking for her to be able to spend the rest of this school year in Leonardo Grade School. In the event we find ourselves in the same situation next year, we are more than willing to send her to a new school. If this decision is not reconsidered, my daughter will need to leave her friends, make new friends at a new school, and then go back to her previous school and try to rekindle old relationships. I was told that our story was presented to the board and that you were unwilling to hear my appeal. So I'm pleading with you to do the right thing for my daughter and not refer away from this school.
Hi, Lori Bowman. So on December 2nd at 4:48 p.m., I believe, Governor Murphy tweeted out, "The right to choose is non-negotiable." Those are the words on Twitter from Governor Murphy. So why can't our children choose? They have apparently a snap going around that there's going to be a mask off or whatever they call it. And kids have now been reprimanded since they retweeted or resnapped or whatever it's called. This thing that they're a protest, I guess you could say. So they're practicing their First Amendment that the school teaches them, and then they're gonna be reprimanded. How does that make sense? And who's like policing the teachers? Like, can you tell the teachers maybe to stand down a bit so the second graders not hysterically crying going to school? Like, that's crazy. I mean, if there's no way around the mandates, like Governor Murphy's not gonna jump out of a locker and fine you. Like, just tell the teachers to stand down. These are second graders, middle school kids. It's damaging. You, as educators, you need to know this is damaging to these children in this district. And honestly, Mrs. Walker, you need to go to Trenton. You have to, for these kids. And if not, then maybe you should just resign if you don't wanna fight for our kids.
Again, I had a whole speech to read tonight about the mask, but it's unacceptable to say we've tried, we've spoken to this person, we need to keep trying, because enough is enough. Today's December 13th, 2021. It's day 638 of 15 days to slow the spread. Pennsylvania Supreme Court ruled last week that schools cannot force state school children to remain masked. Yesterday, the governor of Colorado declared the COVID-19 emergency is over and that he won't be implementing another statewide mandate in response to the new variant. Florida is double the population of New Jersey, a less vaccinated state, with a school system just as large as New Jersey, and their COVID positivity rates are lower than us. While one might argue that New Jersey is the most densely populated state, Miami is the top 5 school district in the United States, double the size of Newark, and their COVID positivity rates are lower than them. It is obvious that this pandemic is being politically driven, and it's time we demand it to be stopped. Our children must be unmasked. We can no longer comply with mandates that are hurting our children. The future of our children in this town is in your hands, and you have the ability to fight for them. So I urge you as the last mother, work together and to manage Trenton and Governor Murphy, drop the politics and put the children first. So that anyone here is going to tell me this isn't political, 100% not the truth. There's no science to wearing masks. I've had it, we've all had it. My son is in 3rd grade. He doesn't even know what normal school looks like anymore. He complains to me every day, I don't want to wear a mask. He comes home with headaches. My 4-year-old is going to be starting kindergarten next year. I walked her to preschool Monday morning last week. She said, Mommy, when can I stop wearing my masks? I want to breathe. She's 4. It has to stop. And you need to do something about it. Not we try. No, you keep trying. Ms. Walker, you need to rally superintendents and go to Trenton and demand that these mandates end. Because enough is enough. We're hurting our children and it has to stop. I don't know what else to say. Us parents, we have been rallying and doing whatever we can to try to stop these mandates, but we need your help. And the time is now. Again, 638 days of this nonsense. It has to end. We need to put our children first. That's what Middletown's motto is, right? Putting children first. Well, let's start doing it.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Robert Pisani, a Winthrop resident. I really had no intention of speaking tonight, but if I'm looking around the room, I see a common theme. We're looking to you, the board that's representing your constituents, to stand here for us, to do the job that we elected you to do, to be out there fighting this madness, because that's what it is. It's absolute madness. You're gonna put a mask on a 4-year-old, on a 5, 6-year-old. I'm lucky my kids are a little bit older. My daughter's just 8 now in 3rd grade. She's getting through it, getting to the point where she can get through it. Last year was a disaster. A complete and utter failure. The year before that she was home, the half year that she was home, she learned 0. I'm blessed enough that I could put her in private tutoring to help her out. She's doing well in school. Because of that, she gets a lot of support at home. Not everybody probably put that together. What we're doing is we're destroying a generation. It's political, sad. Okay, they have an agenda, don't know why, but they're trying to destroy the people that are here, supposedly like some of these people. The bottom line is this: the community is here asking you to support us. Everyone in this room has the same basic concept. Take the mask off our kids. Go fight for us. You know that the injections are going to be next thing they're trying to make. And good luck trying to enforce that. It's just basically what's going to happen. It's not happening with my children. It's not happening with a lot of other people's children. We're asking you nicely at this point. Represent us like you're supposed to. At this point. Go forward. We're giving you our voice to speak for us. I will speak for myself if I have to, no problem. I'll make the call. I'll show up in person. The bottom line is we're here to work together as a community. And I know your hands are tied to a certain degree. You can't just say we're taking the masks off tomorrow. We get that. And I thank you for all you're doing. It's a very difficult position here, every one of you. I don't envy you. I'm asking you to fight for us. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
I'm wondering, at what point do we say enough is enough? Almost 2 years later now, we're still here. And I know so many people that keep saying, just a couple more months, just a couple more months, and we're still here. And just because they're not running data on the social and emotional destruction of our children does not mean that it's not happening. We are segregating children that are not okay. Some children are okay, many are not. At what point are we going to stand up for our children? We are going to, years from now, regret this and say, what did we all do? COVID is not going anywhere. Everything that we've done, states that haven't done as much, states that have locked down, states that haven't, our numbers are no better. So when are we going to take a stand for our children? That's what I ask you. They're our children. And, you know, we said this 2 years ago. We knew that the masks didn't work, and they don't. Everybody has COVID right now, vaccinated and not. We're segregating unvaccinated children from vaccinated children. It's completely unfair. We don't even know how long the vaccine works for. It's a complete clown show. 6 months, 3 months, 9 months, we don't know. Mask up, mask down, mask here is not there. You're in a bar, you're in a restaurant, you can take it off. You're in a football stadium with 1 million people, you cannot wear a mask. And as soon as the kids come to school, they have to wear it. We need to, at what point are we going to say, enough, we're going to stand up for our children. This is not a time in history to stay silent. At this point, does anybody not see that this is not about public safety? And do you not see that? Every strategy has failed. COVID's everywhere. My friend and her husband have COVID right now. They were vaccinated in September, symptomatic. So many people I know. At what point we know the injection is next? Are you going to stand there and watch all of these children leave school because parents are not comfortable with 60 days of clinical trials? Because that's all a vaccine has is 60 days when it should have 10 years. So I'm asking you to please stand up to Governor Murphy's tyrannical rules that don't make any sense. Make masks optional, vaccines optional. I understand you guys are doing the best that you can, but these are our children. And years from now, we're going to be so sorry shaking our heads. What did we do to these kids? Imagine being 5 years old and walking through the world, not being able to see a face, not being able to see a smile, not being able to see your friend cry, not being able to know that maybe you just hurt someone's feelings. There's so much more to this. I mean, I'm watching you, Ms. Walker, with the mask on. I can barely understand you. I can't imagine being 5, being able to do that all day. So if we can step outside as adults and look at it from children's point of view and have a heart for our children, because they are our children. And we need to take a stand as New Jersey residents. We are strong. Look what's happening in New York. Do we want that? Do we want to walk around and have to show papers to walk into a restaurant and to get into? Is this what we want for our state? Is this what we want for our children? I don't want this, and I'm not going to stand for it. And the people of New Jersey need to take a stand. We need to go to Trenton. We need to fight these tyrannical mandates that are nonsensical and that are not working. If they were working, I'd be more for them. Nothing that we have done has worked. Has any of it worked? It hasn't worked. Because COVID's spreading like wildfire through the school. Kids are still getting COVID. Vaccinated people are still getting COVID. People wearing masks all day are still getting COVID. What are we doing? We're just destroying their health. We're destroying their social and emotional growth. And it's unfair. And if you're okay with it, then that's your choice. If you want to mask your child, I totally understand. If you want to vaccinate your child every 6 months, every 3 months, that's fine. But not everybody feels this way, and it is not a one-size-fits-all. And I do know that down the line we will regret these decisions. Thank you.
No one else at the mic, I make a motion to adjourn the meeting. Yes, and second. All in favor? Opposed? Abstentions?